Solar PV Cast by Shift, a podcast exploring solar energy and the role it plays in improving our lives and our planet. Here's your host, Chris Palliser.
Hi, yes, it is Chris, and we are back with another episode of the Solar PV Cast. And I'm really excited about this one because we're talking about the future of solar. We know it is going to play a large role in the energy portfolio of our planet. We know it's going to grow, but what does that growth look like? How is solar going to evolve? Will panels become more efficient? Will the solar wafer change? Maybe. Have you heard of Perovskite? If not, you're about to. I'm really excited about this new technology, and joining us is the Dr. Sahar Sam, the Chief Science Officer from Solaires. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Grace. I'm very excited to be here, and thanks so much for your invite.
Well, like I said, I'm excited to hear more about Perovskite and this incredible technology. If just before we get into Solaires and the amazing things that you are doing, if you could just introduce yourself.
Of course. Yes, I'm Dr. Sahar Sam, Chief Science Officer and co-founder of Solaires. Myself and our co-founder, Fabian de la Fuente, we started Solaires almost 4 years ago. In less than a month, our company is going to be a 4-year-old company, which is very exciting for us. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Iran. And if you or your audience don't know, Iran is a country that has abundance of sunlight throughout the year. However, we also have abundant oil and gas. And because of that, the renewable energy has been always overlooked in Iran. So I was always fascinated by new type of material and new type of basically energy sources that can be used without polluting the environment. So my co-founder and I, we know each other for almost like 9 years. We worked together before starting Solaires together. And we are coming from different backgrounds. I'm very technical. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's a problem solver. And together we decided to create Solaires, which is basically a company with a vision of generating electricity from clean sources like light. And like I said, I didn't say sunlight. I said light, because our technology enables converting any source of light, including sunlight as well as electric light, to electricity. That's about me and a little bit of intro about my company, but I am very excited and I would love to share what I can share with you and with your audience about our technology and the material that we're using, which is called perovskite.
So Perovskite, that's what we're here today, and that's what's got us both very excited. Tell us about it. I mean, the science behind it as well, and how was it founded? And just give us the rundown.
Sure. So perovskite is an emerging material. It is not a name of a one specific material. It's the name of a group of material that they share similar crystal structure. It is an abundant type of material. We actually have it widely in the earth. And that's the new type of material that we can use to absorb the light and generate electricity. So why perovskite? But before I explain why perovskite, I would like to ask you a question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Do you remember those small solar calculators?
Yes, 100%. They've been around for years.
Exactly. How many times have you changed the battery for those solar calculators?
I mean, you don't, because it's got the little solar thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You never changed the battery
right.
for that,
Yeah.
right?
I think I found mine from high school actually a couple of weeks ago, and I showed my daughter. I was like, oh my goodness, this thing is still going.
Yeah, it still works, right? And you never changed the battery. But then how come we don't have such a thing for other electronic devices, all the battery-driven devices around us? We basically can generate electricity from any light. But the reason that we don't see those electronics around us being powered by solar is that the traditional or standard material that we're using for solar panels is not capable of generating enough power to basically run all the IoTs or electronics around us. Solar calculators, those small ones, are perfect examples because they don't have or they don't require a lot of power. But the recent or newer technologies that we're using, we have to either change the batteries very often, or we need to charge those batteries either every day or every couple hours. So what Perovskite do actually can generate enough power from even low intensity electric light to be able to recharge the battery for those electronic devices. So with that, we will be able to make all our devices either generate their own electricity, or they don't need to have a replaceable battery. We can basically have a rechargeable battery for every electronic devices. And this way, we don't need to be worried about how these batteries end up in the landfill, how they basically contribute to polluting the environment and things like that. So that's where the potential, one of the potential that Perovskite has come into play, that it can enter the market where the traditional type of solar panels and solar material cannot enter.
That's incredible. What's the efficiency? Because like a traditional solar panel is 21, 22% efficient. And like you said, on a small scale, that's not going to be enough to power. You can't surf Facebook on your phone with that.
Exactly.
So with Perovskite, what's the efficiency and how is it achieving that?
Right. So the basically the definition of efficiency is that how much of the light can be absorbed and converted to electricity. So in our devices, we can make solar panels that can generate almost 30 to 35% efficiency from indoor light, meaning that they can absorb and generate electricity from 30 to 35% of the light that is around us.
That's indoor light. We're not talking direct sunlight.
Not yet. We're just talking about indoor light. And the reason that we're talking about indoor light is that these lights, we call it like waste light. There is no other purpose for those lights. Yes, of course, like we use them to illuminate like our room, our offices, but we can repurpose them. We can recycle those lights.
Which is incredible because you're right. I mean, the photons from the light above me right now, they're hitting this table and then they're disappearing. Energy dissipated.
Exactly.
So you're saying this with Perovskite, we have this ability to recycle that energy and not waste it and use it to charge the laptop that I'm chatting with you on.
Absolutely. Yes.
Incredible. And this is functioning right now. Solaire has this product out.
So we just, in January of this year, actually, we opened our first pilot line in Victoria. So our facility is based in Victoria, BC, and we opened our pilot line, and we can generate PV modules that can be incorporated into electronic devices. Of course, we are not electronic device manufacturer. We basically work with the device manufacturers who are incorporating our PV module into their devices. An example of the customers that we are basically working with is, for example, the remote controls that can have solar panels so that you don't need to basically change the battery for your remote controls. Or the keyboards, the wireless keyboards also is another kind of application that they have a battery that you need to change it. Mouse, exactly.
Yeah.
Or for example, like any sort of IoT devices, all these sensors that we have around us, like CO2 sensors that we have, like the temperature sensors that we have, all these like sensors around us, they need to be powered constantly because they're sending signals, receiving signals, saving data. So these basically IoT devices, they can be powered by our PV modules.
What does the module look like? I mean, this is a podcast. We're listening and on YouTube as well, so I can
Right.
definitely display some images.
Yeah.
But I'm picturing traditional solar power, solar panels, solar wafers, solar cell. And so,
You're actually lucky because I just have one of them next to
okay,
me. So here's basically one of the solar module that we made. It is easy for us to change the size and the shape because we developed a simple printing process for our PV module. And that's one of the basically processes that we're very proud of developing to make the manufacturing process very short, simple, and efficient.
it's printed.
It
So
is
it's
printed.
it's like an
Everything,
ink.
exactly. Everything. There are, let's say, 3-4 layers of material that needs to be coated on top of each other to generate these device, solar module. All these layers are printed using a liquid form material. So that's why the printing process is very simple, and also it is very well known to the industry. Printing basically process is a well-known process. The equipments are worldwide available. It's not something that we need to customize, and therefore the cost of manufacturing for our PV module is very low compared to the cost of manufacturing for the traditional solar panels.
Incredible. What about scaling this product? Obviously, I'm familiar with your traditional 500-watt solar panels. I think they're
Yes.
6.5 feet by 3 feet. What about scaling perovskite?
So similar to any other new technology, scaling is a big challenge. And perovskite is not an exception. And also perovskite, although has a lot of potentials that I like explain, it is a very tricky material because it is a very unstable material. When like 10 years ago, when it was first developed in a lab to be used for solar panels, it was stable for a couple hours. Then the research improved the performance of perovskite, and they were able to like improve the lifetime of perovskite to, for example, a day. And that was a big success in perovskite community. And it still is the big issue, and it can cause a lot of problem for scaling the process. So when we started the company, our first focus was to be able to develop perovskite material that can be scalable, meaning that we had to focus on how to improve the lifetime of perovskite. And that was our first step that we took. And I'm very proud to say that we are one of the only companies that we can basically market and commercialize perovskite material to be used for PV module application. And we have shipped our PV, perovskite material, which we call it solar ink, worldwide. And among the customers that we have is basically we work with automotive industry for their specific application for their solar cars. So that was the big step that we took, but it was needed because in scaling the technology, we need something that has a good shelf life. We can't work with something that only lasts 2 hours.
Right.
The other challenge is basically when we go from lab scale or small size to the large size, that can cause a huge basically problem, because the equipment most of the times that is being used in the lab is not the same equipment that we're using in manufacturing processes, which again, we have focused even in our lab, in our R&D process, we were using and still we are using equipments that are the same equipment that we're using for our pilot line and manufacturing line, but in a smaller size. So we're basically using the same equipment. We're basically using the same processes. We only make smaller size devices, which can be easier to transition from R&D to pilot and later to manufacturing process. These are the things that we have basically learned based on the industry experience, like what other companies have done that they could do better. So we are trying to not repeat those mistakes, and we're trying to take stepwise approach rather than just focusing on an end goal, how to get to that end goal in a more kind of a stepwise approach. So the challenge is basically shelf life of these materials, scalability of the process. And the other challenge is, again, same as any other new technology, is the cost. How can we keep the cost low to be able to compete with the technology that we already have in the market? Because it is going to be part of a like another device. For example, it will be part of a remote control. The remote control is not a very expensive device. So by adding PV module, we don't want to all of a sudden increase the cost of the remote control. So we have to really keep the cost of these PV modules low, which we do it by, again, using very kind of like scalable processes. So the manufacturing process is very simple and cost effective. And also the material that we're using are abundant material. They're material that basically are not very expensive.
That's incredible. What is the lifetime right now of Perovskite?
So right now,
that cell that you were holding up there, kind of thing.
Right. So right now, these cells are used for indoor application, and for indoor use, we can have them last for about 5 to 10 years. Of course,
wow.
we're trying to,
you were saying that, they made it one day and they were celebrating. So we're at
Exactly.
5 to 10 years now.
Exactly. Yes.
That's worth celebrating.
Exactly. Of course it was celebrating. And we are trying to still improve the lifetime and still improve the stability of these devices. Of course, we can't claim that 10-year stability when we go outside, when we use them for outside application, because the outside conditions in terms of the temperature or humidity is very much different from the conditions that we have indoor. Indoor conditions are more forgiving, so it's basically easier to use them in indoor application. But over time, we have been able to improve the stability, and we constantly working on improving the stability to be able to use it for outdoor applications as well.
I am not a scientist by any means, and I'm just trying to picture working with a compound. Is it at like a molecular level that you're and how do you alter? I don't know if there's trade secrets here, but you know what I mean? Is that what it is? Kind of scientists diving right down into it?
It is, actually. Well, my co-founder, he had a very good example at the very beginning when we were trying to explain what perovskite is and how we make the perovskite ink and how our ink is different from other people's perovskite. He was giving them the example of smoothie. Like when we make smoothie, we add, for example, I like banana smoothie. I feel like that makes better sense for me to have banana smoothie in the morning. Somebody would like, for example, I don't know, pineapple smoothie, strawberry smoothie. So they're all smoothies, but they have different flavors. They have different ingredients. So we work with different ingredients. In that case, our ingredients are different chemicals. So there are powder forms, there are liquid forms. We mix them together in a specific ratio that at the end, it will give us the property and efficiency that we need.
Wow, science right there. Right back to making a smoothie. I like that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, a lot of trial and error, I guess, with your, the last 4 years, some successes, some misses, hey?
Oh, for sure. And we always learn from the mistakes. We always learn from things that didn't work. So we actually don't publish the things that they don't work, because that's valuable. That's very valuable.
Yeah,
so we let
right.
others to make the same mistake, and then they learn.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What's the reception been like? Well, I know you guys are traveling around the world. His name escapes me, but I met a couple of your team members. Kiara was one, and
Yes.
another team
Yeah.
member at an event, and seemed like they were traveling down the world. I think they were
Hmm.
just down in Vegas, actually.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the reception been like?
It's great. It's actually like when we talk to people, when we started actually talking to other customers or potential customers last year, some of them were completely unfamiliar with like, is it possible to actually incorporate something like that into our device? Then we came up with the example of solar calculator. So yes, it's been around. We just haven't been able to manufacture something that generates enough power for other devices. And then by that, it's easy for them to understand that, oh yeah, so it can actually be incorporated in my device. And what we did to help our customers is that we purchased different devices that is available in the market. We incorporate our device, our PV module. We sometimes need to change the circuitry because sometimes the devices do not necessarily have rechargeable battery. So we do change the battery. We do change, for example, their electronic circuits to just demonstrate how it makes it possible to recharge a battery, and then your device can be free of connecting to the grid or connecting to the wall, basically plug, or even like replacing the battery. So the reception is really good. Like when we talk to different customers, they're very excited. Of course, there are customers that are hesitant because they already have a market. They don't know if it's going to help their customers or not. They're worried about how much increase of costs will either help them to acquire more customers because now they're using something that increase the lifetime of their battery, or maybe the increase of cost is not something that their customers necessarily looking into. So we have basically like a lot of good kind of like conversations with the customers, but there are customers that are still not very much fond of having or changing their product,
Yeah.
which as soon as they see those products in the market, they will feel the threat of, oh, okay, now I have to compete with those markets, and then they will basically adopt these new technologies.
For sure. And as we all, get more aware and there's more education surrounding climate change and I mean the reason traditional solar is booming is because finally the costs have come down.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
finally the costs have come down. Investors, oh, I can make money in this. Now I'm interested. And then of course your environmentalists and everyone's kind of meeting in the middle, which is an exciting time. So it seems just like education. And once everybody kind of realizes this is the way we need to go.
Yeah.
What about I'm just thinking like my phone. I don't even know enough about phone batteries, but
Mhm.
I know that if you leave them plugged in for a long time, that can sometimes hurt the battery.
That's
So how does it work with Perovskite? If I'm my phone's sitting I leave it on the table under the light all day. Does it overcharge, or is that something you've thought of?
Yeah, so those are basically goes back to the battery management system that they have into their device. So previously in our devices, it was very much like what you mentioned. Like if we keep it charged overnight, they were always asking us not to leave your phones like charged overnight
That's
because
right.
it can reduce the lifetime of your battery. But with the new technologies that is happening in the battery industry, we will now have newer batteries that can actually like prevent that overcharging stage.
I have heard
Um,
of that actually. They can kind of control themselves.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. So we will depends on the basically the product or the battery that they have. Hopefully, they will not face that overcharging problem. The other thing is that, of course, we're saying that it keeps charging because it keeps absorbing the light, and either it can be like close to the window, so it absorbs the light that comes through the window, or it's like just your light inside. However, we have to consider that these are the devices that have already basically developed over time in terms of their battery and their battery management system. So it is easier for us to incorporate our PV module into the device that already has these basically kind of like circuitry that allows incorporation of PV module. The devices that don't have, for example, a rechargeable battery, they might need to change their circuitry. They might need to change a little bit of more of their electronic side, which we also like help with our customers how to do it. Our engineering team basically like demonstrate different product to them, and we help them. But yeah, they're basically like the battery improvement in parallel with our device improvement. And that helps with preventing the basically overcharging the batteries.
It's interesting too, because, solar and energy storage, they go hand in hand. They work together.
Exactly.
But also in this way, you're kind of replacing the battery, which, it must be an uphill battle. Everyone in clean energy is facing the same battle.
Yeah.
There's a cheaper option out there. And so right now, people are going for that cheaper option. How do you find, any bad emails from battery companies from you guys?
Luckily, no, because there will be time that actually like we need to have a kind of a storage for the electricity, because, for example, your cell phone, when we sleep, the light is off, so it doesn't receive any basically light. And if you don't have that storage, means that overnight you will not receive any email, nothing will be updated or anything. So basically your cell phone is dead. So we do need to have a source or sort of a kind of a storage. It can be in source of like a capacitor, or it can be in a source of like a battery. It depends on the amount of energy consumption that device has. So we're not eliminating the need for the battery. We're just like helping those batteries to last longer, and hopefully we can reduce the number of those batteries that every year end up in the landfill. So that's the purpose, not eliminating any battery.
For sure. Where do you see, I mean, it's been 4 years, the birthday's coming up. Yeah. Where do you see Solaire in 5 years from now? Where, if you could lie there and just dream while you're on a beach somewhere, where do you see it?
Oh gosh, sorry, you said beach. That's one of my dreams. I haven't been on the beach for a long time without like having my thought going over like, oh, what is happening? Like, when is my next meeting and blah, blah.
Yeah.
But anyway, if I find that day lying on the beach and thinking about the future of Solaire, it would be like this. So we are focusing on indoor market. That would be our focus for the next few, I would say like 2-3 years. And basically the long-term vision that we have is to generate a flexible, large photovoltaic film, which we call it PV film, which is thin, light, low cost, with a simple and green manufacturing process that can be used for any application, including outdoor applications. So you can use it for electric vehicle, cover the electric vehicles. You can use it for buildings, cover the wall, or even cover the windows, because another great potential that Perovskite has is that we can make translucent solar panels using Perovskite. So imagine all those high-rises, glass high-rises, covered with Perovskite, so you can have a sustainable self-powered building right there.
Amazing.
So that's basically the future that we want to see ourselves in the next 5-10 years.
How does it feel for you to kind of start this company 4 years ago? Here you are 4 years later. What's the journey been like for you?
I would say that it's very interesting. Like when I started the company, I never thought that it's going to be that difficult, but also I never saw that it's going to be that rewarding. So it is very difficult, but it's also very exciting and rewarding when I see, for example, people talking about my product, and I see the excitement in their eye that, oh my God, like, can you just like show it to me? Can you just like charge my device with your product? And when I see the basically our employees that are happy and they're like also engaged in this process, that makes me happy that we created a culture, we created a technology that everybody is benefiting. Right now, our generation, next generation, they can benefit from what we are developing today. So all these things, it helps me to basically go day by day, overcome those challenges, and still be hopeful and still be very proud of what we started 4 years ago.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. All that hard work is, I feel that because that's why I got into the solar industry. That passion about,
Yes.
The sun is right there or the light is right there. In your case, let's just use it. It's right. I love this fact. I share it all the time. If everyone listens to my podcast, they're going to be like, oh, this fact again. But every second, 174,000 terawatts of energy is hitting our planet from the sun.
Yes.
If we could capture all of that in 1 hour, we've got enough energy to power the planet for a year.
That's
1 hour. Light is so valuable. And so, as you can tell, I am similar to your team. It sounds like we're all in the same boat. And I was thinking about it as I was looking at this cover on my phone. I just thought, covers aren't even cheap anymore. You pay, $1,000 for your phone. Covers are $60. I think if you, as you're offering, a cell phone cover, even if that's down the road or whatever that is, I think the market's there. It's exciting because I think that's another reason why solar is booming, because the tech, people like the tech.
Yeah.
They like how they can adapt it to their lives. And, if I'm sitting at the pub with this thing on the table, it's going to be about 2 minutes before everyone on the table knows that it's charging right now, thanks to these pub lights.
Yeah. Of course. And then you don't need to run around, look for a plug to charge your cell phone because you're expecting a phone call or a text message or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And you're going to save, all the infrastructure that has to go in for all those charging ports and coffee shops and airports. They don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Great. Well, is there anything else you wanted to mention about Solaire to get out, using this platform? I think it sounds really cool, and I'm excited.
No, first of all, thank you so much for actually creating that platform for us to explain what we're doing and also introducing the technology that we have. We really think that the industry is going towards having all electronic devices being self-powered. And that could be like right now, as I'm talking, it might look like a fantasy, but to me, it's not, because science is there. And we have all the tools to be able to make this sort of fantasy become a reality. So I am very excited. And hopefully the audience, as they listen to this podcast, they understand the potential that these new technologies can bring to our life, hopefully in the near future.
Amazing. Can you hold it up one more time? Can you hold up the solar cell one more time?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
If you're listening to this on the podcast on a major streaming platform, go to our YouTube channel and check it out, and you can see what it looks like. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Dr. Sahar Sam, Chief Science Officer at Solaire, co-founder at Solaire. Thank you so much for this enlightening conversation.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. It was really great. I enjoyed it. I hope your audience also enjoyed it.
The Solar PV Cast by Shift with Chris Palliser. To begin your solar journey, visit shift.ca.